many people would come to rest here in El Paso's oldest cemetery. This place is a place full of history and a place that should be remembered. This is the story of Concordia Cemetery. Concordia began as a 900-acre ranch in the 1840s, owned by Juana Marie and Hugh Stephenson. Hugh Stephenson named the ranch after his hometown of Concordia, Missouri. The very first person to be buried in Concordia was Juana Stephenson, Hugh Stephenson's wife, after she was gored to death by their pet deer in 1857. After the end of the American Civil War, which was devastating for the country, the southern states were forced to pay reparations. Part of those reparations include the seizing of much of Concordia Ranch by the federal government. It would eventually be sold to Albert H. French. He was the son-in-law of Hugh Stephenson, and he would sell the Concordia Ranch back to its original owners for only $1. In 1883, Concordia was established as a proper cemetery by J.B. and Benisa Leahy. Louis Wolfe was the very first sexton of Concordia Cemetery. During this time, Concordia was roughly 3 miles outside of El Paso city limits. By the late 19th century, many El Paso denizens would travel those 3 miles in order to bury their dead in Concordia. Concordia is a very historic cemetery. Because of that, there are many famous people that are buried there. One of those people being Ernest St. Leon. He studied law in San Antonio before later joining the U.S. Cavalry and eventually being part of the Texas Rangers. In 1889, he would be involved in a shootout in Socorro, Texas. He would be gravely wounded. Although he would be able to ride all the way to a doctor's office, he wouldn't make it in time. He died only after a day of arriving at the doctor's. Another famous grave is that of Martin M. Rose. Martin M. Rose was an outlaw who came to El Paso around 1890. He was a cattle buyer and figured he could make more money from robbing than selling. He would be involved in several murders and eventually the law would catch up with him. He left his wife behind to try to escape to Juarez, but he was caught by Mexican authorities and held for extradition back to the U.S. Before his court proceeding, the man he hired to be his lawyer was John Wesley Hardin. M. Rose would never reach those court proceedings, however. Wanting to see his wife back in El Paso, he would escape. In the middle of the night, as he made his way across the Rio Grande in 1895, he would be gunned down by U.S. Marshals. Only 2 people went to his funeral, his wife and John Wesley Hardin, a famous cowboy that would also be buried here in Concordia. On May 26, 1853, in a small town called Bonham, Texas, the legendary John Wesley Hardin would be born. At age 14, he would stab a fellow schoolmate. By age 15, he would kill his first man. While he was running from the law, he would kill one of the Union soldiers that were pursuing him. By 1871, he had killed 7 people. He would kill even more when he visited Abilene, Kansas. In that same year, he would get married in Gonzales County, Texas, and have 3 children. However, that wouldn't prevent him from continuing his killing spree. He would be captured and arrested in 1872, but only a couple weeks later he would escape from jail. In 1874, Hardin would kill a deputy sheriff in the town of Comanche. He would attempt to escape to Florida with his family, but he would be captured by Texas Rangers in Pensacola. In 1878, he was sentenced to 25 years for the murder of that deputy sheriff, but in 1894 he was pardoned. While he was in prison, he studied law, so shortly after his release, he took the Texas bar exam and passed. Hardin would settle down in El Paso in 1895 and open up his own law practice. He would end up having an affair with one of his clients, and once her husband found out, Hardin would hire law officials to try to kill him. However, one of those officials would instead turn their gun on Hardin himself and take his life. John Wesley Hardin's very last moments were playing a game of dice in the Acme Saloon. He would be shot in the back of the head in 1895. He now resides in Concordia. Concordia Cemetery is a truly fascinating place, full of a lot of very interesting history. It is a very important part of El Paso's culture and El Paso's past, and it will never be forgotten.
He knew the time had come to purify the town. Hunt 'em down, hunt 'em down, hunt 'em down. No time was wasted in assembling a squad. This pitchfork army on a mission sent from God. No witch was saved from Reverend Paris's brigade. Their crusade, their crusade, their crusade. Call the magistrate and don't you wait another minute, 'cause this town is going to hell if we don't put away the sinning. And we got no time to let a jury have their turn. Let 'em burn, let 'em burn, let 'em burn. The damned were crammed into a carriage on the square. Their faces battered and their bodies all were bare. The Reverend led them to an isolated hill. Time to kill, time to kill, time to kill.